Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz guitarist Eric-St on the 2024 album Darn That Band. So he was born in Montreal, studied guitar and improvisation in New York before moving to Berlin, where he spent a decade as a sideman to big and small names of the European music world. After relocating to Toronto, he worked as a studio and live musician and dove into the blues, country, and being a music tech. This interest in the intersection of art and technology has led to recent recordings exploring common ground between composition, electronica, and various global music traditions. Darn That Band is the first studio recording of his new project. We cover the whole project. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's great to reconnect with you. Thank you for reaching out, and thanks for taking a minute out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just so happy when people are interested in talking about the music. You know, it's a gift.
Yeah, I love it. It's my bread and butter. So before we get into Darn That Band, I want to know, you know, living through COVID, you know, that 4-year period was quite a thing for the musicians. Everything fell away. It was a very weird time. How did you ultimately make it through that time period, and how did it either influence this album or the way that you do things now?
I was extremely fortunate that my wife, who is also a musician, and I were well positioned to go through the pandemic. We're both classical, typical musicians in which we're introverts. So we stay home and quiet and practice our instruments or read or listen to some music. And we did an incredible amount of that. I discovered so much. I'm a big fan of Ethan Iverson, the pianist who writes a lot about jazz. And he was writing like crazy during that time, and I made a point to investigate every single record he would talk about. So that alone is like a full-time job. Other than that, I worked on, I can play a little bit of piano. At the beginning of the pandemic, I could almost not play, and now I can play a tiny bit. So that got better. And so that's how we got through it. We were very lucky. And as far as how it influenced the future music, well, I guess like everybody else, we're just ecstatic to be able to be playing for audiences again and to see people in clubs and theaters and concert halls is amazing, especially when you didn't have it for such a long time.
Well, I'm curious, you know, I know that when everybody first got out and had the chance to go to live shows, there was such a different level of energy. Have you noticed that that's maintained, that level of fervor, you know, post-pandemic has stayed intact?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Probably not. Like anything else, anything that's new fades. It's normal. We're back to normal. That being said, here in Toronto, we have a good live music and a scene and good energy for the arts in general. And so we always have people at the shows. We have lots of venues. We have a thriving scene, a bunch of new musicians coming on the scene all the time, as well as veterans that keep doing their thing. So I don't. It's probably faded a bit, but it's still going strong. So again, there's nothing to complain for us over here. We're just happy to be doing it.
So Darn That Band is the new album. Talk to me a little bit about this project. How did it come about, and how does it feel now that it's come to fruition?
It feels amazing because the reception's been good. There's been feedback, excellent feedback, people like yourselves calling and wanting to talk about the music. It started when I moved to Toronto a bit over 10 years ago. I had been in Europe prior to that, in Berlin to be specific, and there wasn't a whole lot of Latin music there. There was some jazz, there was a lot of classical music, of course, but no Latin music. And when I moved to Toronto, here we have a big scene. Lots of people from Cuba, Mexico, Bolivia, Colombia, And so I immediately, that was a strong influence. And then I started working with people like Irene Torres, who's a singer in town who does Afro-Peruvian music. And I started listening to this stuff all the time and loving it. And prior to that, I've been programming drum machines. Now is working with real percussionists who are incredibly more subtle and nuanced in their expression than the machine can be, obviously. And so I decided that was going to be my rhythm section. I had two colleagues, one from Peru, one from Cuba, Chen De Leon and Luis Orbegoso, who are monsters of music. And together they form the rhythm section. And the string section is Calvin Beal on bass and me on guitar. And we are the gringos who approach this kind of music with our background in blues, R&B, funk, and soul. And we all meet in the middle, and it's very exciting.
Talk to me a little bit about what you're hoping the listener gets from this album.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking about that recently. There's a woman who does this theory of or helps people to clean up their stuff. I think Kanto is her name. It's very famous, and her famous phrase is, if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And I think I want to apply that to our music. I come up with a lot of ideas, a lot of songs. I try a lot of songs every day. I read through books. I listen to records, looking for material. And my criteria is, does it spark joy? Is it simple? Does it carry a message of joy? And does it make anybody smile within the first 5 seconds? That's my criteria. I am trying to bring a little joy to people, or as Art Blakey used to say, trying to wash the dust of everyday life with music. That's what it's supposed to do, and that's what I'm trying to do. So when I come up with long, depressing, dark songs, I listen back the next day and I go, no, that's not part of the mission. We're not doing that. And so I'm trying to streamline it and bring it to so close, distill the information so that it is, at the end, it's all that's left is pure joy and simplicity. I'm not necessarily succeeding, but that's the plan anyway.
Right on. So what are you doing to promote the album? What are you doing for live shows? Anything coming up?
Yeah, we're playing as much as possible in town and spreading the message one by one person by one person. They bring one friend, and that's how it grows slowly. There's a nice buzz in Toronto right now about this band. We're playing this Friday at the Drome Taberna, which is a super happening club. And other than that, I am doing as actively as possible a bunch of social media things, because that's obviously the way to reach people around the planet, people who have similar interests. And so I'm trying to reach people that enjoy Afro-Cuban music, cumbia music, that have roots in the Great American Songbook, in jazz and blues, of course. And I've been reaching out to the written press and radio people like yourselves who are interested and motivated enough to call back and talk about the music. Again, that's fantastic, and I'm really appreciative of that. And so, these are the main things I'm doing. I can always do more. I think about this every day. If you have some ideas, let me know.
Talk to me a little bit about the best place that people can go and pick up this album that would benefit you the most, and how they can pick it up and indulge.
I don't really care where they get it from, as long as they get to listen. It's on all the streaming platforms, of course, Spotify, Apple, Bandcamp, YouTube, Last.fm, Amazon, anywhere is good. As long as people listen for a few minutes. And if they like it, they can listen some more. And if they don't, well, at least they've checked it out.
That's the first time I've asked a question where the alarm bells literally went off, and it was very apropos and perfect to ask where to get it. So it was a great sound effect. I love it.
Hilarious.
Eric, thank you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out. Thank you for talking about the project. Best of luck with it, and send my love to Toronto.
Joe, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it more than you know. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in Berlin, Montreal, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Eric for his time and story and coming on back by the show. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.